This guy speaks French. Many ways to write Hello World on Ethereum. So a little bit about me. I'm Lead. My name is Jérôme. I'm blockchain tech lead and key account manager at Consensys. I opened the Paris office with this guy called Ken Timsit. He's the MD of the place. You can find me on social media. You can write me on this. I'm mostly an economist, background in game theory and growth models. I did a lot of mining back in the days. Now it's not profitable anymore. Or maybe if you don't pay electricity, or if you can find a lot of GPUs. And I'm the president of Asseth, a French non-profit promoting Ethereum. And Asseth is part of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. So what about Asseth? Maybe it's good to show you what is Asseth, because we have internet here. Or do we? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we're doing fine. We are.
So, who's living in Portugal? You're all from Portugal? Yeah, all from here? So, have you considered moving to Paris for holiday, for something? But if you have, you should reach out to us. You can find us on Asseth. Well, I don't have my glasses, but it's readable.
It's Asseth.
Yeah. ASSETH.fr. We are a non-profit organizing meetups like this, mostly on time, in Paris every week. If you are looking to connect with people from the crypto community, you'll be always welcome. We do a lot of stuff, from advanced Solidity programming to beginner Solidity programming to introduction to new projects. And we also organize this wonderful conference. Where is it? Yeah, Stanford. ETHCC, Ethereum Community Conference in Paris, 8th, 9th, 10th of March. I would say, of course we organize it, so I might be a little biased there, but I think this is bigger than DevCon. Yeah, the largest crypto conference ever. We have 1,000 attendees and a lot of other people around. And among the 1,000 attendees, there is 50% of speakers. We have 4 amphitheaters with multiple streams for tech and non-tech, but I might say mostly tech there still. And my company is sponsoring, and other people are sponsoring. We can have a look real quick on what is SEC. And yes, it's cheap because we are non-profit, we are regulated, so we publish a book, and we cannot do any profit out of it. So a ticket is €240, or it might be free if you are a student from Portugal and you have 3 students here. So if you want to come to HCC, reach out to Mark. He has free tickets for students to offer, and if you can spare some euro, you can pay €240 to get there. And we have pretty much the whole Ethereum Foundation. People from Shapeshift, people from Pivot, people from Vulcanize, people from Trubit, people from Variable, Ujo, people from Consensys, people from Parity. A lot of people from Parity are there. We have the guy developing the state channels. We have the guy from Infura. So this is what I'm really looking forward to hear about. We have a lot of people. Even the guy from Springchain, if you like the angel industry. We have people from Funfair, if you like betting. If you like security, we have the guys from Zklab, and so on and so on. Yeah, other people, wonderful people. We have the guys from Gnosis also. The guy from Socrates, if you want to hear more about the zero knowledge proof. Well, other thing. And our wonderful sponsors. And 2 more sponsors to be announced next week, Gnosis and Chronologic, the non-American Shapeshift. Yay. So yeah, please, if you have time, in March, come around, say hello, and I strongly suggest to stay the whole week because we're going to do a lot of things. So, who in this room has never heard about blockchain? Yeah, sorry. We're going to do the same session in French just after, so you get an So if you heard about blockchain, let's talk a little bit about what makes Ethereum a very special blockchain. Ethereum is a blockchain, so it has the 3 main pillars of the blockchain. It's a network of nodes. So you have some nodes, some computers that are nodes in a network that are connected with one another, and they are replicating the same ledger. We call the blockchain. But sometimes we also call the blockchain the network. Like Bitcoin is a network, Bitcoin is a ledger, but Bitcoin is also a currency. So we also have an accounting currency that is Ether. So we don't get the problem we have with Bitcoin, saying Bitcoin with a big B, with capital B is the blockchain, Bitcoin with a lowercase is the currency. We do it separately, Ether, Ethereum. But what is special about Ethereum is that the nodes host a virtual machine where code can be executed. Who don't know what a virtual machine is? Oh, a pretty technical crowd today. So the Ethereum is Turing complete, which means you can program pretty much anything. Your imagination is the limit. We can do loops, we can do a lot of stuff, and we have all the opcode we need to do anything. And those opcodes that are fundamental instructions, you probably know it if you know what a virtual machine is, such as add, sub, store. They have a price which is expressed in gas. So yes, it gets more complicated. And gas is like the subcurrency for Ethereum. So the Ethereum virtual machine is a pay-as-you-go system. That is, if you want to do an addition, you will invoke the add opcode, and the add opcode is, if I remember well, 1000 gas. So doing an addition, you pay 1000 gas. And when you do an Ethereum transaction, you have probably seen, if you've already done an Ethereum transaction, sending 1 Ether from Alice to Bob, there is a flat tax, a flat price, that is 21,000 gas. But every time you invoke an opcode, you will have to pay a little more gas. So when you broadcast transaction, you might select the gas limit that is usually estimated by your client. So if you're running parity, if you're running get and parity will execute the transaction locally for you, and then tell you that you should put that many gas. If you are running MetaMask, Infura will do the calculation for you and give MetaMask the estimation. So you say up to how many gas you are willing to spare, and you also say a gas price, that is how much Ether you are willing to pay per gas. And therefore, if you are paying 21 million gas at 10 minus say 1 Ether per gas, you will pay 21,000 Ether to do your transaction.
And that's a lot of
yeah. So usually you will spare 10 to the minus 9 gas, 9 Ether, 10 to the minus 9 Ether per gas.
Well, 1 gigawatt.
Yeah, 1 gigawatt. I will get to the matrix. What is useful with this gas mechanism is that if your code is invoking a loop that doesn't stop, at every iteration of the loop, you will consume a little bit more gas, and potentially when you run out of gas, your transaction stops. So we don't have any halting problems. Yay! Okay, well, nobody cares about halting problem here. What is also cool is that for the miners, they can solve the transaction from the highly priced to the lower priced, and give priority to transactions that have high price. What is also cool is that if the price from Ether to Euro double overnight, you can still put transactions that are twice less gas price. You can divide the gas price by 2 and still pay the same amount of euro for the same definition. So some might say that Ethereum is a programmable money, but it's also a money to program. One can argue that Ether is a commodity for super secure and extra expensive cloud computing. Well, we can do pretty much anything with Ether, but it's going to cost you a lot. If you don't optimize the thing and you are too if you are running too complicated problems. That's pretty much it for the gas thing. Oh yeah, have you seen this graph before? So this is the history of Ethereum. Ta-da!
We've done that on the previous meetup.
Yeah. This is the history of Ethereum because we don't have the block size debate on Ethereum. We have a system for voting for bigger blocks at every blocks, and miners can upgrade the size of the block by 1.073%, if I remember well. So we can expand the size of the block, and the size of a block is measured by the number of gas it contains. So the bigger the blocks, the more execution of the virtual machine you can put inside a block, so the more transaction you can put inside a block. And this was the alpha of Ethereum. This was the fork from tier to on state, yeah. This was DEFCON 2, the Shanghai attack. The next stage of the Shanghai attack, and then yeah. So the miners felt comfortable upgrading the block size, and then while the network was under attack, they downgraded the block size, so transaction and difficult transaction to treat can go inside the block easier. This is the ICO praise. And anybody know what it is? What this is?
Cats.
The cats, yeah, CryptoKitty. It's just over there. Well, we cannot expand the size of the block infinitely because we have one block every 14 seconds, but so far it has been a good way to prevent the congestion of the network. And the other side of this coin is the gas price. So first reaction when there is too many transactions in the mempool, too many transactions that are pending, the gas price usually goes up. Yeah. But it's going down now. It's pretty much back into the level that it was in September, so 1 gig away for the average gas price. And yes, we measured, we don't have any floats, just as Bitcoin. We use a very, very small unit. This way 10 minus the 18 Ether. And the usual gas price in 10 is 10 to the minus 9 Ether. Oh, if you want to do a transaction, I suggest you go to Ethereum gas station so you know exactly how many gas you spare. So I spent a lot of some time thinking about gas because you're gonna manipulate. You're gonna do transaction. You're gonna manipulate the gas, so it's useful for you to know exactly what you're manipulating. But yes, enough bullshit. Let's go. So we're gonna code smart contract today. We're gonna use Solidity. That is a language that is oriented to contract programmation. The syntax is close to JavaScript. So for those of you that know about JavaScript, you'll see that it's close, but they don't have the same globally available variable, and there is some difference. So it's a language of itself. If you want to know more about Solidity, you can read the documentation at solidity.readthedocs.io. And so we're going to code contract in Solidity. We're going to compile them in SolC, Solidity compiler. The opcodes are going to be written in an hexadecimal, in a bytecode format that the EVM can read. And we're going to input this bytecode in the data section of the Ethereum transaction. But hopefully, with the wonderful tools that we are going to be using, this will pretty much be all automated. All right, so for this hands-on session, we will need MetaMask, that is an add-on for the Google Chrome browser, Chromium, Brave, and Firefox. This will make a bridge between your browser with the Ethereum blockchain, and we're going to use also Remix. So I'm going to go ahead and install MetaMask. So I'm going to remove MetaMask from Chrome and go it all over again. So metamask.io. So does anybody have MetaMask already? Everybody? Not everybody? Okay, I'm still going to go to the. I need it anyway. So get the Chrome extension. You're going to end up on the Chrome add-on page.
You can do that in Firefox if you want.
Yeah, it also works in Firefox. Add extension, and done. I got my connection with the Ethereum blockchain. So this is something that we are developing at Consensys, and the guys that are developing this add-on are in town. The MetaMask team is in town, and I've told them to come around. I hope they will come later. So the first thing you will do when you have installed MetaMask, you will have the header Fox up in the top right corner. I will ask you to change the network here from mainnet to Ropsten. It's extremely important to change from mainnet to Ropsten because the Ether on the Ropsten test network are free. I did this workshop once in Paris in December, and I had someone posing next to the webcam with an identity card, smiling. Okay, well, not really paying any attention to what I'm saying. And what the person was actually doing is buying Ether and sending Ether to MetaMask account and putting some LOL on the mainnet, which is cool. Yes.
But you spend money
yeah,
for that.
but you spend a lot of money for that. So don't forget to switch from mainnet to Ropsten. And once you are on Ropsten, go ahead. Yes, accept the term of use. This is not the first time I read this, so we're very fast. Accept. Then I will use a super safe password, AZERTY123. ZERTY123. Yep. And here you go. This is the entropy, the seed for you to recreate your private key. So keep it somewhere safe. And as you might have noticed, my account is now compromised. Yep. It's video recorded also. Cool.
Okay.
So I've copied it somewhere safe. Yes, I have it on the video, and I have 20 witnesses. This is my seed. All right. So everybody is on this step. Okay. So we're gonna push the buy button. Yes, it will say Ropsten test faucet. So last reminder: if you are on the mainnet, clicking on this button will lead you to Coinbase. Yes. So Ropsten testnet. Here we go. This is also a service provided by MetaMask. If you press on request 1 Ether from the faucet, it will send you 1 Ether. Oh my god, what? Oh!
Yeah, we're all amazing.
Damn! Oh, this is bad. This is bad.
We can use Request maybe.
Let's find a Ropsten faucet.
I think I've got some testnet keys here.
Maybe.
Okay. The queue is empty. Send me free Ether. I'm gonna find another faucet. This is fine. Oh, enter your testnet account. Okay. Yep. Copy address. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. So backup plan. Don't press buy. Go to faucet.ropsten.be. Jeff, I'm gonna zoom in. Ah, I cannot zoom in.
It's creatizing more.
Is it better? No, it's not.
Can you make it bigger?
Yeah, I'm desperately trying. I will. Yeah. Roads. Here we go. So this is the address. Always have a backup plan. And once you are on this address, click on your MetaMask add-on here. Select your account. Press copy to clipboard, and enter your testnet account address. You just copy paste your address and then request 3 Ether in here. What is supposed to happen is the testnet will generate an address, a transaction here. Ah, another beer.
Super craft beer ici.
Yeah.
Quoi? IPA, lager.
Good. Peu importe. Okay?
Can you repeat? Yeah, anyone.
Let me.
The address?
The address. Oh, sorry. The address is http://fiucet faucet.ropsten.be. Oh wow.
What? Le bar?
Very good.
C'est fait ici.
So shout out to Eddie Cat Amber, assertive American style hobby halo with a forward coming and man character. Cheers. Okay?
How can I just press the button?
Yeah, so before you press the button, you need to enter your testnet account address. And this address, you're going to find it over here in your MetaMask account. You can copy your address to the clipboard. And then you just copy paste it and click on send me 3 Ether.
Okay.
But you need to input your address before, otherwise it's going to send it to the blind. So once the transaction is done, you can click on your MetaMask account and you should see that you have 3 Ether. Great. So, raise your hand if you don't have any Ether on the testnet. Okay.
Alright.
You have pressed from the button? Yep. Alright, you're good to go. If you can help your comrades.
Everyone is agreeing here.
What is the difference between these three test networks? Roster test network, all test network.
Okay. So in the list here, you have the main network with the Ether that are on the exchanges. Coven is run by a proof of authority consensus algorithm. Rinkeby is also run by a proof of authority consensus algorithm, but the Coven testnet is run on parity only, and the Rinkeby testnet is run on get only. The Ropsten testnet is compatible with all the different clients that are Ropsten, Parity, Ethereum J, Ethereum CPP, Ethereum Pi, and so on. And Ropsten behave exactly like the main network behaves. So it's a proof of work network with 20 mining nodes that are just benevolent nodes that just mine this. This is so it behaves like the usual network, except that the Ether are free. Is it okay for the two last gentlemen? All right. So if you open MetaMask, I hope you can all see what's going on up there. If you open MetaMask, you have the possibility of sending Ether. Yay! So you can input an address, you can input no address, whatever you want. By default, you have your own address that is saved. You can input some amount, like for example 0, and you can write some data in this that has to be in hexadecimal. So a first shade of Hello World is using this data section to write something, but I will have to convert it to hexadecimal.
So let's do some math.
So yeah, who remember how to write from ASCII to X? No, nobody. Well,
Base 16, anybody?
so for example, if I look for a converter, convert ASCII to X, I should find something more useful than usual, please. Yeah, for example, this little thing here, I can write hello world, convert, yep, no space. So usually the converter gives you space. This one is pretty cool. So I take this is simply hello world but written in hexadecimal. And if I pick send, I can send things to myself. Yes, yeah, I can send 0, OX, something, press next. And here is where the gas mechanism comes handy. Because as I'm requesting to execute no opcode, by default, MetaMask is saying, well, there is no opcode, so the gas limit should be 21K. But if I press submit here, the transaction will drop because I haven't put enough gas. So let's put 21.9 should be okay. Yeah, 21.9 should be okay. So let's upgrade the gas limit by 1K or 900 and press submit. So what I did is I've written a transaction from me to me, so a transaction to myself, with 0 Ether as value, so I'm transferring nothing, and I'm just passing in the data section a little message. If you click on the transaction, it will be directed, it will direct you to the Ropsten Etherscan block explorer, and as you can see, my transaction has been put in this block. It has consumed 21K816 gas, and I've given 21.9K gas as a limit. The gas price was 1 gig away, okay, and I have an input data here, which I can convert to hello world. Yay, done.
So we just put hello world forever in the Ropsten blockchain.
You can put happy birthday mommy, it works. Saying I love you to your significant other, it also works. You just have to convert it from ASCII to X.
was the part with the?
Sorry?
What was the part with putting the gas higher than 21K?
So when you are on the send part of the transaction here, you can choose an address. Right? You need to choose. Yeah, you can choose an amount. You can put 0. You can write something. OX, base, ABCD. Yeah. And on the next page, you have to raise the gas limit here. Just from here. So you have to put enough gas for the Ethereum virtual machine to read your hexadecimal, which for Hello World is 816 gas, but for a longer message it will be higher. So act accordingly. I think if you put 2K gas, so 23K gas as gas limit, you can write a full sentence of 10-ish word.
What is important to know is that you can put a gas limit which is higher than what you expect to pay, because as we can see right here, the gas limit is 21,900, but we only use that and we only pay for that. So yeah.
So you can try to do a transaction without
It will reject.
really not without enough gas limit to see what happens.
Yeah, for example, I put it OX ABCD in the data field section here, and I won't change the gas limit. So if I press submit, failed. The transaction just failed. Transaction didn't have enough to be treated. It just failed. But sometimes it's not possible to expect that transaction will fail, so it's treated anyway, and it's put in a block anyway. And what has happened is the transaction has been recorded to the blockchain, but the status is failed. So it's recorded but hasn't changed anything, and you have an error called out of gas in here. In the receipt, it's success. It can be also failure, and the reason for failure can be out of gas.
And the line with the gas price, where you can change how much is the conversion?
Yeah, you can change to pretty much anything you want. It depends. Potentially, nobody will mine your transaction if it is too low. The miners in the node they are running can announce that they won't treat transaction below a certain level or whatever.
But then why there is like in the end these ways and gas? Like, what is the purpose of having 3 in the end?
3 what?
Measures you have for the ether and gas and this.
Yeah.
Way.
So the only idea of having this subcurrency that is gas is that if the price from Ether to fiat currencies disconnects a lot, like the price double overnight, you can still divide the gas price by 2 and have the same execution for the same amount of fiat.
To a limit, because we can expect from a price increase that it's maybe a result from a usage increase. So more usage means more people want to put something in the blocks, so the gas price will increase.
If there is a recorded transaction that it's a failure status, does the gas...
Everything is consumed, usually.
Everything is consumed.
Yeah. In here, the 84 remaining gas that I given, multiplied by the gas price, are sent back to me. But that's a very dull way to write Hello World. So we're gonna try it with some Solidity code. So I invite you to go to this page, remix.ethereum.org. And what should happen is you land on this page. No, what? No. You should happen to end up here with ballot.sol. So if you go to the documentation of Ethereum, solidity.build-the-doc, you will have a whole walkthrough, a whole tutorial of using ballot. Using ballot usually takes, explaining ballot in a workshop takes 1 to 2 hours, so we're not going to go there on this. But if you want to have second part of this workshop. You can do it at your home with the documentation. I think
we can do that together at the block.
And you can do that together at the block, of course.
In a few weeks.
So let's go to Remix. Let's go. So what I invite you to do is click on the little plus here. Plus. And we're going to do Hello World 3. So time I do this. Oh, alright. So by clicking on plus in here, you can open a new tab, and the file that you will generate will be stored locally on your browser. Alright. So the first line of Solidity code, hence the .sol extension here, is usually to give to the compiler an instruction on what version it should use to compile the code. By default, if you don't write the first line, it will use the last version. So you go Pragma, Solidity. I'm not even 100% sure of this Pragma Solidity, and I always forget the hyphen. Pragma Solidity. Then hat, chapeau. How do we say in English? Comma, dash.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this little sign here. I don't know. Can we zoom in?
What?
Roof. Yeah, roof it. Roof it. So yeah, you can go like this, or you can precise 19, whatever. Well, it's a good practice. Just don't forget to precise to give this information to the compiler that you should use this version instead of going default. And here we go. I'm going to create the object contracts. I'm going to give it a name. Hello world. So the styling guide on Solidity Read the Doc tell you that you should use capital as first letter of your contract. So let's do it. And here we go, I have my contract Hello World.
There's nothing in it yet.
Yeah, so we're going to create a variable that will be a string that we call log. I'll even say that this string is public. The difference between public and non-public variable on Ethereum is that another contract cannot easily read a non-public string. But as everything is public in a blockchain, you could read it yourself as a human. And you could even write a contract that is able to just fetch what's inside a specific place in the blockchain. And even if it's not public, it will be public. So having a variable called public will automatically create a getter function for this variable. I could stop there, but if I deploy this contract, my variable log won't be initialized. So a very handy way to initialize it is to say equal hello world. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And here we go. This contract creates a string called log that has the value hello world. To deploy this contract easily, this interface here allows you to communicate directly with MetaMask. So if you click on run, you should have the mention injected Web3 written over there. Does anybody have not injected Web3? When you click on the run side. So just for you to know, you can plug this interface to your own Web3 provider, to your own node, for example. So we use Web3 as a name for communicating with the blockchain. You can run everything inside the JavaScript virtual machine of Chrome also, maybe clicking on JavaScript VM. But injected Web3 will automatically communicate with MetaMask. So if I click on create, I will have a beautiful MetaMask pop-up. Here we go, yay! So MetaMask is proposing me to confirm this transaction. This transaction has a huge gas limit, it's creating a new contract. And hopefully this is the transaction I've generated by compiling my contract Hello World.
Can we make a step backward? We should change environment to...
No, just stay on injected Web3.
No, I have JavaScript web right now.
Yeah.
So I have to stay on this, or I have to.
No, you have to click on injected web tree.
Inject, okay.
Yeah. Is there any?
I can't. By some reasons.
Okay, close everything, close your browser, open it again, because the connection between Remix and MetaMask hasn't been done properly, because maybe you've opened the Remix before installing a MetaMask or something, or the communication is not really good. Are you on Chrome or are you on Firefox?
I'm on Chrome.
It should be okay. So close your Chrome and open it again.
Or is it okay to just open a new window?
You can close this window, open a new one, and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, what I advise you to do is take out the specific page out of all of your tabs and try to close it and open it again. So once this is done, I can click on submit and my contract will be submitted. And you can see that Chrome is, Remix is actually communicating pretty well with Web3. As you have a pending transaction here, so MetaMask is telling Remix that the transaction is still pending. And once the transaction is mined, Remix should be able to fetch what's inside and display my beautiful string log equal LOL. So is it better on the injected web3 thing? No, I think you should close your Chrome. I'm really sorry about it.
Yeah.
But what you can do is close Chrome and restore the last session. Yay!
And it's
I
there.
know, I know. And it's done, yeah. So my transaction has been mined, you can see here, it's not pending anymore. If I click on log, it displays the string LOL. Yeah, we already lost someone. Sorry about Chrome not getting in sync with MetaMask. But that's usually because Chrome has been open too long and he's not able to catch all the library that you are filling in with.
Maybe it's because she's not logged on to MetaMask, so it's just not going to recognize the account.
Oh, perhaps, yeah. Could be also. Have you tried to open your MetaMask?
If it depends on the password, that's the reason why. You just press the Fox icon on the top right corner.
Yeah. So let's see something else. Since we've all deployed the Hello World, we can do something more interesting that is not hard coding Hello World. We can do a little function to give the. Oh wow! Hey, Will is over there. If you're looking for him.
Pardon?
Will King is over there.
Oh,
And there are beer in there.
okay.
And I'm pretty much done. We have already seen a lot of shades of the world. These two. Yeah, it's a symbol too. So another way of writing in a world is writing in a world through a function, so not hard coding in a world. So what is good with Solidity is that we have a special function to initialize variables that is called the constructor. You might be already familiar with this type of function. So on Solidity, the constructor is the function that has the very same name, case sensitive, of the name of the contract. So if I create a function called hello with the same capital H and the same capital W, is it better for the connection? So I create this function hello. I will use a parameter that I will call initial log, initial message. Serialization, right? So I'm creating this function called hello world with a string as parameter. And what it will do is
Sir, can you make the fonts a little bigger?
yeah, sure.
Does the underscore have any special meaning?
Yeah, it's part of the styling guide. The temporary variable are usually written with underscore. So I'm just using the best practice here, not going down to what it could be, because usually we will say that just do underscore log instead of initialization. but try to give you some good practice on writing clear code. So, function hello world, and at the initialization, my variable log will receive the value initial. I get a warning here telling me that my function is public by default. That is, by default, another contract can interact with this function, but that is not relevant for a constructor because the constructor only executes once at deployment. So you may have noticed that on the right side here, the compiler now tells me that I have to initialize this. I have to input a string here before clicking create. I could click create without nothing, but that would mean that my variable log will receive nothing.
We want to put a name or word in that.
We want to put something. For example, Viva block. Viva block.
The block.
Viva the block. Notice that I have to use the commas here for formatting. If I don't use the comma viva block comma, it won't treat it as a string, it will bug. So don't forget to use the commas here. And if I click create, I will have the wonderful MetaMask transaction saying me, hey, want to deploy this? And it will do pretty much the same. I hope you believe me, because we're going to go a little bit deeper on what we can do with this contract. So I'll still submit it because, you know, the ETLs are free. We can really spare them.
We can spend the gas.
We can spend the gas.
The commas are important because you don't know which type is going.
Yeah. On some other IDE, the formatting is done automatically, but this is very lightweight IDE, so yeah. So since we have a variable,
everyone here have a developer background but you, so you understand the semicolon things about the...
is it going too fast?
No, well, I can follow you, but I don't know what you exactly what means.
Are you still doing stuff?
No, I'm done with that.
Okay. So let's write a function that allows you to change the log, because it's fun to have a variable, but it's fun to be able to change the variable. So let's do it. Function change message, change log, string, new log, and guess what? It will change log from underscore new log. Done. We have a function. Change log to new log. That's great. It's great. So let's try to deploy this contract. I love the block. Let's create this one. Yay. And see what happens. Raise your hand when you have deployed this contract, please. You did. You two over here, did you deploy this one?
Okay,
Yeah.
who are completely lost right now?
It's
Oh,
because of MetaMask.
it's okay.
I know. We're gonna do a special session for you with beers.
No.
So let's see. So I can always go back to MetaMask and hang around the transactions, hang around the Explorer.
I don't need I just, I think I have some problems with the environment.
What?
Because
So if I go around with MetaMask, I can see that my transaction has been mined in the block, this one, and I can also see that someone else has mined a transaction that looks very similar. This person, for example, who is OX6D0A.
It should be one of you.
I think it should be one of you.
I don't have.
You can find your address on MetaMask. You click on the fox.
So this is your contract. So what is also cool with Remix is that I can also load a contract to a specific address. So this is my hello world with I love block. I'm going to discard this one. I'm going to look after yours. What did you put? Hello once again. Aha. you. Oh, yeah. And here we go. I'm hacking you right now. What can you do about it?
Message sender.
Message sender what? Yeah, of course. So here you go. If you know the contract of someone else, if you know what it looks like, if you know basically just the ABI, if you know also the code is even better. But if you know just the ABI of the contract, you can, with his address, recover it and interact with it. This is why you might want to protect your contracts. So I did look for a contract that looked a bit like mine. I find someone. I then try to interact with it, and normally I will be able to hack him. Yeah, you've been hacked. See? This is why you need to protect your functions. You need to make sure that nobody can interact with your contract if the design has not made the same. Hello, Kevin. So one other way of doing this is creating some special permissions. So for this, we're going to need another type of variable, that is the address. Here we go. Address public owner. Whoa, the cops are here. Cutting edge technology. Address public owner will create an address that we can use as a way to allow for entering or not. The address is of course the hash of the public key, so it will check that the address is someone you know, for example. What we'll do is at the initialization phase on the constructor, we're going to say that the owner will be the msg.sender. And here we go. I was talking to you when I presented Solidity about globally available variables, and msg.sender is one of them. So msg is the different part of the transaction, and what you can tell is when you mine this transaction, consider msg.sender, that will be the public key where this transaction came from, or more precisely, the address where this transaction came from. So at the deployment, my own address will do the transaction, so owner will be msg.sender. So I will allocate the very same value of my address to variable owner. And now let's protect this function changelog by using some logic such as if what? If MSG sender, that is the person that interacts with the function changelog, is different from owner, then throw away this transaction. The comma was used. So look at this. We deploy the smart contract in a world. We say that log gets an initialization message. If you forget the initialization message, hopefully you get the change log, so you can reinitialize it. Then we take the variable owner, that is an address, and we give to this variable the value msg.sender. msg.sender being you will be in control of your contract. And your contract has one function that is changelog, and this function changelog verify that the person that is interacting with it, the person that is sending a transaction to invoke the function changelog, is not different from owner. Because if it is different from owner, we're going to throw this transaction away. Throwing effectively does just consume all the gas and change nothing. So a person that reach out to throw is just thrown away. And then we're going to pick log. If the condition is not met, we're going to pick log and give it to log the new value, new log.
So this is like a way to punish them for trying.
Yeah, you punish people for trying. You can also not punish them, but just stop the execution.
Yeah.
It's up to you. I think punishing is fine.
Yeah.
That's my own personal view. I only hire people from military school. That's a subject. So yeah, here we go. And with this, you're protected. And I cannot see any other shade of LOL.
Is there any known X against this message sender?
I don't think so. One way of bad coding it would be to use TX origin, which is not exactly the sender, but the very origin of the transaction that allows you to interact from only human and not only with a smart contract or person. But that will, we can have a discussion on this, such as how to bypass message sender. And what you can do also is this logic, immediate sender different from owner. You can code it in a modifier. It is a condition that you can move from one function to another function, and it will help your code be more easily readable.
You can use a require also.
Yeah, you can also use require. That is this function.
Let's keep that to 101, guys.
Let's keep that to 101. Yeah.
It says throw is deprecated. So
Yeah, you should not use throw.
in this case.
Yeah, you shouldn't use what would it just suggest? Yeah, use reverse. So I let you go through the documentation to see the different application and what it does not do, what it does do. And I thank you very much for attending to this session. I hope to see you all in Paris, the 8, 9, 10s.